Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Deadlock's latest patch. They just put out 4/30/2026. Basically, they're going to be trying to speed up the game. So let's start off with base health per boon reduced by 7. So that's going to be huge for characters that really scale with the boons, such as Kelvin is a great example. He gets a lot of resistances, gets a lot of health. So that's a good reduction there. And then another change, vitality investment bonus increased. As you can see here, these numbers scaling. Basically, the longer the game goes, your vitality investment bonus is increased. Weapon investment bonus rescaled. So basically, your weapons do scale a little bit worse. As you can see here at the very end, 135% to 115%, but they start off stronger. So you have 9, 12, 15, 7, 9, 13. And then they have some specific changes. Reduced bullet damage growth by 10% for the following heroes: Beat, Bop, Pocket, and Viper. Viper needed this. Viper was kind of crazy right now and was solo doing everything. Walkers and the mid-boss probably still can, but still. Reduced bullet damage growth by 5% for the following heroes: Victor. I just played against a gun build Victor. It's still annoying. Increased bullet damage growth by 10% for the following heroes: Moe, Krill, and Apollo. Moe and Krill needed it. Everything in his kit is great for his abilities, but shooting was like, there was like no point in shooting late game. Apollo, I mean, I'm a little biased, but I don't like Apollo. He needs to be nerfed into the ground. Anyway. Guardians, base guardians, and shrines now have 10% damage or bullet resistance. This is actually a huge change, seeing how these guardians, walkers, and base guardians don't seem to do anything, and shrines don't seem to do anything to the players damage wise, unless it's like the first 2 minutes of the game. So bullet resistance is going to be a little bit nicer, so at least they're a little bit more durable if you are getting slammed in lane. Walkers bullet resistance increased from 15% to 25%. This is great, especially against stacking heroes such as Haze, Vindicta. Medic troopers missing health percentage heal reduced 14 to 12%. Medic trooper fixed regen growth per minute reduced from 3 to 2. These are really good changes here. Basically, this health was too much. You'd be in the middle of a fight and then somebody would just veer off and start shooting one of the minions so that you get the health, and then the medic trooper, and they would win the fight because of it, right? Getting knocked off bounce pads now sends you downwards quickly rather than continuing the trajectory towards the bounce pad destination. I have an example of what that looks like. And then souls required for boons for scaling. So it went from 13.215 to 13.214. So essentially they're trying to speed up the game. So it ends in 40k to get all the boons versus 49k. This is a great change. I want to see the games go a little bit faster. I'm tired of committing to 40-minute games when you can't forfeit vote in a game that you know is a clearly loss. Fixed alt fire scaling for Yamato and Viscous not working recently. Good changes there because nobody ever uses those unless it's early game. All right, now let's get into the hero changes specifically. There are some buffs, there are some nerfs. I'm gonna let you decide on some of these because they aren't really a nerf or a buff in some directions. It's all subjective. So let's see on your playstyle or if your character has changed. Abrams. Fixed speed coming out of the canceling shoulder charge being too high when hitting a hero. His also change was the siphon life heal reduced from 80 to 40% to 70 to 35%. Apollo, disengaging sigil based damage reduced from 100 to 85. He also got his growth attack or bullet damage throughout the game also increased. Billy, Rising Ram T3 now also reduces cooldown by 10 seconds. When they talk about ability specifically, that's the tier in which you've leveled them. So T3 is the max of the level. So 1, 2, and 3. There is 0, 2, but we don't talk about that. Celeste bullet cycle time reduced from 0.65 to 0.58. Shining Wonder radius increased from 14 meters to 15.5 meters. Wonder damage increased from 120 to 135. Doorman fixed a bug that could allow you to bring the urn through a doorway. Thank God. Drifter Rend T3 now also increases melee scaling 1.2 to 1.6, which is a crazy jump. Blood Scent T3 increased from plus 10% amplified damage to 12% amplified damage. I already see a lot of drifters in my games. I can't wait to see more. Yay. Dynamo. Kinetic Pulse Spirit scaling reduced from 1.8 to 1.65. Dynamo Quantum Entanglement cooldown increased from 19 seconds to 20 seconds. This is a nerf for him. It's not too much of a change, but Haze restored being able to slide while using Bullet Dance. Bullet Dance range increased from 15 to 16 meters. Bullet Dance now has 30% evasion in the base ability. Bullet Dance T2 changed from plus 10 fire rate and 45-second cooldown to plus 10% fire rate and a plus 3 movement speeds. Bullet Dance T3 changed from 60% evasion and plus 4 movement speed to plus 40% evasion and minus 75-second cooldown. Holiday fixed Rising Ram interrupting lasso. Spirit Lasso T1 increased from plus 68 damage to plus 80. Spirit Lasso T3 increased from minus 30 seconds to minus 50 seconds. Infernus Flame Dash DPS Spirit scaling reduced from 1.0 to 0.7. Flame Dash DPS now does half damage to objectives. McGinnis Mini Turret Bounty from 80 plus 2 minutes to 40 plus 4 minutes. Fixed Mini Turret being locked on objectives when they were invulnerable. Medicinal Spectre duration increased from 6 to 6.5. Mina Nox Nostra DPS reduced by 6%. Mirage base health regen reduced from 2 to 1.5. Fire Scarab's duration reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. Moe and Krill Burrow move speed increased from 4 to 5. Page stamina increased from 2 to 3. Dash speed reduced to slow bucket. Plat armor cooldown reduced from 30 seconds to 28 seconds. Bookworm recharge timer reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. Paradox kinetic carbine cooldown reduced from 30 seconds to 28 seconds. Time Wall T2 weapon damage increased from 30 to 35%. Kinetic carbine now provides plus 20% air dash distance when charged. Pocket Enchanter's satchel spirit scaling increased from 0.9 to 1.1. Affliction cooldown reduced from 150 seconds to 140 seconds. Rem fixed a bug with nap time that allowed you to attack while casting it. Pillow Toss recharge timer reduced from 10 to 9 seconds. Shiv Altfire Knockdown reduced by 10%. Serrated Knives Spirit scaling reduced from 0.15 to 0.13. Serrated Knives T3 Spirit scaling reduced from 0.1 to 0.09. Silver fixed the tail whack, applying minus 12% bullet resist for the disarm duration. Slam Fire current health as damage reduced from 4% to 3%. Venator gunshot damage scaling reduced from 0.8 to 0.7. His growth damage on bullet damage is reduced. Gunshot wall hit damage scaling reduced from 0.9 to 0.8. Victor Aura of Suffering T2 increased from plus 28 max DPS to plus 34. Shocking Reanimation T3 increased from 100 second cooldown to 130 seconds. Viscous Gooball lockout period from being affected again reduced from 1.35 to 1.2. A previous bug with an increased debuff resist for subsequent CC not working correctly on this ability was fixed recently. Fixed various locations where splatter didn't bounce properly. Viper Lethal Venom cooldown increased from 24 seconds to 28 seconds. Lethal Venom T2 increased from minus 8 seconds cooldown to minus 12 seconds. Lethal Venom cast range reduced from 15 to 10 meters, now scales with boons 0.2. Fixed armor piercing rounds doing damage through petrify. New items. Okay, so they added a new tier 4 vitality item. Now let's specify what tier 4 means for newer players. Basically, the way that the system works is there's a tier 1 through 4 on items, and what that indicates is the price or souls needed to purchase that. So T1 is 800, T2 is 1600, T3 is 3200, and T4 is 6400. Now this does not put into account the items that you can purchase beforehand that upgrade into it. This is just the base price of that item if you had no item at all. Okay, so added a new T4 vitality item, Indomitable. Indomitable. It's like the Abominable Snowman. Upgrades from Reactive Barrier, which is great because that's usually a starting item. Causes the next stun, chain, immobilize, sleep, or silence from characters to be automatically removed. When this happens, you gain a barrier and all your ability cooldowns are reduced by 20%. Cooldown 55 seconds, innate plus 8% bullet resist and 8% spirit resist. This is going to be a crazy item, but it is a tier 4 item, and I feel like there is items that are better tailored to specific situations. So this is a good, like, I wouldn't even say noob item. It's a really good item in general because it's automatic, but yeah, we'll just see how it works. I think there's better items given scenarios. Now let's get into the specific changes to items. We're gonna have a lot here. So active reload, fire rate increase from 22% to 25%. Opening rounds, weapon damage reduced from 45% to 30%. Weapon damage reduced from 45% to 30%. Now upgrades from high velocity rounds includes its stats. Spirit power reduced from plus 10 to 7. Split shot max stacks reduced from 6 to 5. Weapon damage per stack reduced from 10% to 8%. Cooldown increased from 24 seconds to 27 seconds. Shadow Weave moved from T4 to T3, so 6400 to 3200. Out of combat regen reduced from 10 to 5. Duration reduced from 18 seconds to 10 seconds. Ambush duration reduced from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. Cooldown increased from 32 seconds to 45 seconds. Spot radius increased from 18 meters to 20 meters. Ambush spirit power reduced from 35 to 20. Ambush fire rate reduced from 32% to 20%. Ambush melee damage reduced from 25% to 20%. Alchemical fire spirit power increased from 8 to 10. Heroic aura cooldown reduced from 25 seconds to 22 seconds. Bullet resistance aura increased from 15% to 17%. Blood tribute now has an innate 8% debuff resistance. Active debuff resist reduced from 40% to 35%. Spiritual overflow no longer grants 15% spirit lifesteal at base stat, now provides 15 ability duration. Activated buff no longer provides 20% ability duration. Activated buff now provides 20% spirit lifesteal. Frenzy no longer grants 20% spirit resistance when below 50% health. No longer grants 15% base spirit resistance. No longer grants 0.75 base movement speed. Now grants 160 health. Base fire rate increased from 10 to 15%. Low HP movement speed increased from 2.5 to 4. Low HP now grants 30% debuff resistance. When low HP procs, any existing debuffs are reduced by 30%. Low HP fire rate increased from 25% to 40%. Low HP bonus is now given for a duration and has a cooldown whenever you are below the 50% threshold, lasts 10 seconds, and has 16-second cooldown. This is basically a completely rework of the item. So yeah, moving on. Restorative Locket max stacks increased from 20 to 25. Max stamina restore happens at 25 stacks now. Restorative Locket heal per stack reduced from 20 to 16. Return fire bullet resistance increased from 8 to 10%. Bullet damage returned increased from 60 to 65%. Reactive barrier no longer restores 1 stamina on trigger. No longer grants plus 6% spirit resist. Now triggers off of a silence. Same trigger set as Indomitable, so it's automatic. Cooldown increased from 40 to 55 seconds. Barrier spirit scaling reduced from 2.1 to 1.8. Trophy collector moved from T3 at 3200 item to T2 at 1600. Souls per stack reduced from 25 to 18. Out of combat regen reduced from 4 to 2. Ability range reduced from 1% per stack to 0.75%. No longer gives plus 20 health per stack. Dispel magic, spirit resistance reduced from 16% to 10%. Veil Walker now upgrades from sprint boots, includes its stats. Bonus health reduced from 175 to 125. Bullet Resilience now grants plus 3 out of combat regen. Spirit Resilience now grants plus 3 out of combat regen. Counterspell cooldown increased from 20 seconds to 23 seconds. Bonus health reduced from 75 to 50. Rescue Beam cast range increased from 32 to 35. Colossus now grants plus 300 health. Base health increased from 15 to 25%. Leech bonus health increased from 120 to 160, the sum of the two components. Inhibitor weapon damage reduced from 25 to 10%. Suppressor, which is not spelled correctly, no longer grants plus 50 bonus health. Suppressor now grants plus 8% bullet resistance. Cold Front damage height increased from 3.5 to 5 meters. Spirit Snatch spirit power steal increased from 15 to 20. Arctic Blast damage height increased from 3.5 to 5 meters. Scourge no longer grants minus 4% cooldown reduction, now grants plus 15% debuff resistance. Spirit Burn DPS spirit scaling increased from 0.05 to 0.06. Lifesteal adjustments. Active reload lifesteal reduced from 18% to 14%. Bullet lifesteal reduced from 16% to 13%. Spirit lifesteal reduced from 16 to 13%. Spirit Shredder bullets lifesteal reduced from 12% to 10%. Spirit Rend lifesteal reduced from 12% to 10%. Fury Trance lifesteal reduced from 18% to 14%. Infuser lifesteal reduced from 16% to 13%. Active lifesteal reduced from 80 to 70%. Leech lifesteal reduced from 30% to 25%. Vampiric Burst lifesteal reduced from 16% to 13%. Lifesteal reduced from 80 to 70%. Mystic Reverb lifesteal reduced from 10% to 8%. Imbued lifesteal reduced from 27% to 22%. Spiritual Overflow lifesteal reduced from 20 to 16%, part of the global adjustment on top of the prior rework to the item. Lady Geist life drain heal reduced from 80 to 75%. Abrams Siphon life heal reduced from 80 to 40% to 70 to 35%. And then we go on to Street Brawl, where unstable connection reduces the player's respawn time by 50%. Seraphim Wings damage reduced while in air reduced from 60% to 40%. The following abilities have minus 15% radius in Street Brawl: Bookworm, Flame Dash, Essence Bomb, Entangling Thorns, Lightning Ball, Pulse Grenade, and Frost Grenade. Mystic Expansion Radius bonus reduced from 20% to 16%. Greater Expansion Radius bonus reduced from 30% to 25%. Enhanced Escalating Exposure max stacks from +8 to +6. Enhanced Escalating Exposure amp per stack from +2 to 1.5. Enhanced Escalating Exposure base shred from +8 to +10, matching Enhanced Mystic Invul. Fixed Enhanced Weighted Shots, now maintaining the benefits from Enhanced Slowing Bullets. If you guys have made it this far and liked this kind of content or want to see more Deadlock on the channel, please let me know down below. please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I have been pushing out content a lot, and I just reached 1,000 subscribers, so I greatly appreciate your guys' support and want to see where we can go next.